Yeah, they hate when you elevate.
ATP, what it do? It's your boy Clay. More rain back at you guys with another one. Yeah. We back at it again. It is fight day. Shout out to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into this content, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit your bell icons as well, so you all getting alerts when all this content is dropping. You guys know what it is. It's Saturday. It's fight night. This is a great weekend of boxing that we finally gotten up to. December 7th, man. Been waiting on this day for a while. I can't lie. If you guys know, you know. If you don't, you're about to find out now, right? So, a lot of great fights this weekend. I've already put out my perspective on the Liam Power Richard Higginson fight. Check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. Great fight that's going down tonight. But also another one that's going down tonight, I think maybe going under the radar for some boxing fans who maybe haven't been paying attention or maybe a little bit more casual, right? But the hardcore boxing fans got to be aware of Robeisy Ramirez versus Rafael Espinoza last year, right? Last year, this fight came out of nowhere and ended up being FOTY, Fight of the Year, Prospect of the Year. And a lot of people thought it was Fight of the Year. Who would have ever thought, right? You never know what boxing has for you until you actually catch it. You're watching. If you watch it regularly, every now and then you run up on one of these gems, these underground little diamonds in the rough that you didn't know was going to be what it was until you actually watch the fight, right? Well, this one was one of them. Rafael Espinoza, coming out of nowhere, coming out of Mexico, competing against Robeisy Ramirez last year in December. Out of nowhere, it ended up being one of the best fights you could ever watch, right? I mean, I watched the fight at least 2 times again since that night, and I'm telling you guys, man, what an amazing fight it was to watch Robeisy Ramirez come with that Olympian background, defending his title at the time against Rafael Espinoza, who was really somebody who came out of nowhere, right? Rafael Espinoza, although undefeated fighter at the time, I think was like 23-0 or 22-0, something like that, high ratio, knockout ratio, but still a lot of the fights that he had were fights, really in Mexico, right? Out of the country. So you really didn't get an opportunity to really get familiar with him unless you're a real hardcore fan. And I'm not that much of a hardcore fan, so I kept up with him. He came out of nowhere, right? But look, coming into the ring, one thing you noticed immediately was like, okay, this kid is like 6'1". Well, he's not a kid, right? This dude's like 30 years old. But he stands at 6'1", right? And this is significant, being that they're competing in a 126-pound weight class division. You tend to not see those guys that tall, right? Similar to, let's say, Sebastian Fundora. You guys are familiar with at 154 pounds. He's sitting at like 6'5", 6'6". It's just not something that you really see in the weight class. And no matter how you guys want to approach the situation, we have to admit that those type of physical attributes do present roadblocks for somebody like a Robeisy Ramirez, who's standing at what? 5'6", 7", somewhere in that range. Something for him to deal with, but you really got to see when they got in the ring with each other, you saw the difference in height. But Robeisy Ramirez coming in with the way more decorated amateur background, an Olympian, coming from that Cuba amateur background, that means a lot. When you talk about the Cuban amateur background or even those Eastern European amateur backgrounds, you understand that these fighters come in, no matter what their records say, although the record may say, 14, 13-0, 15-0, 18-0, that it still holds a lot of weight because of that amateur experience they bring into the ring. Well, Rafael Espinoza, for all argumentative purposes, came in with more fights and was an undefeated fighter with a high knockout ratio, very high knockout ratio, like well over 80%. But you still favored Robeisy Ramirez going to this fight, although you saw the physical attributes and the quote-unquote experience going into the fight, you still favored Robeisy Ramirez. Now, Robeisy did what he does, right? He was able to do what you do with a tall guy like that. He was attacking the body. He was keeping the fight mid-range, but he was also being very slick about it. The way he would actually come over the top with those right hooks, coming over the top, and those check left hooks. The way he was able to time Rafael Espinoza to the point where he was able to put Rafael Espinoza down, I think around round 4 or 5, was actually able to hurt him really bad. Not only put him down, but hurt him really bad. And ultimately, Rafael Espinoza was an uphill battle that whole time. But Rafael Espinoza, with that high punch output style, Mexican come forward kind of style, and obviously that grit that he has in him, that also I'm sure comes from his heritage, he was able to translate that into all the way to the 12th round, not giving up, actually putting Robeisy Ramirez down, right? Amazingly enough. Amazing love. Now, keep in mind that Rafael Espinoza battled his way through this. Multiple times after that knockdown, he got hurt by Robeisy Ramirez. Robeisy was just showing that there was just 2 levels when it came to the IQ, but in all reality, Rafael Espinoza's just will to win, and more importantly, not lose, not fail on this one opportunity he got to become a champion. He took full advantage of it and was able to walk away with a decision in this fight and ultimately become the WBO champion. Now, since Rafael Espinoza's fought Robeisy Ramirez, he's had a title defense against Sergio Sanchez. It was a great fight. He was actually able to stop this guy inside the fourth round out of a 12-round fight, showing that he's still the dominating force that he showed himself to be against Robeisy Ramirez. And of course, Robeisy Ramirez also had what you would call a tune-up fight, right? Or a fight in between against Brandon Benitez, and he was able to stop Brandon Benitez in the 7th round. So both these guys showed that they're the truth. What we saw that night in December of last year wasn't a fluke, wasn't a mistake. Both these guys are who they say they are. Well, it's only rightfully happening that Robeisy Ramirez gets an opportunity to avenge his loss and also gets another shot at this title. And of course, Rafael Espinoza, being the real warrior that he is, gladiator that he is, offered and accepted Robeisy Ramirez's interest in a rematch. And here we are getting ready to see these guys do it again a year later. We're back in December 7th, almost a year to date. Right, 2 days shy of an actual year since the last time these guys got out in the ring with each other. And we as fans, get another treat to see these guys go at it again. So going forward into this fight, what are we looking for? Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Probably close to the same thing, right? Except we're going to have to see which one of these guys are able to make those adjustments. Those adjustments that's going to give them the edge to go ahead and win this fight, right? Now, when it comes to Rafael Espinoza, obviously and clearly one of the things that he's going to want to make sure he does is not get hurt again, right? You have to wonder if he's going to actually respect Robeisy Ramirez's power, respect his pedigree, and start to use those physical attributes that he has more. He was using them before, but he has to make it a point more to use it even more now, right? To not let Robeisy Ramirez get inside of that mid-range area where he can operate and not allow him to catch the timing off of that left hand, right? Off that jab. He has to find a way to maintain win on these scorecards until there's an opportunity that manifests for him that gives him an opportunity to land that powerful right hand that could potentially put Robeisy Ramirez down. Now, keep in mind, he was doing that in the first round, the first match. Robeisy Ramirez has a decent chin on him. There were points in there where Rafael Espinoza was able to take advantage of those attributes. But even when you watch Robeisy Ramirez go down in the 12th round, it almost was like a mixture of power, but also exhaustion, right? It had been a long fight. Both these guys have been throwing a lot of punches at each other throughout the whole entire match, nonstop. And it does look like Robeisy kind of just almost exhaustively like had to take a knee almost, right? Because he didn't get knocked on his pockets. He just kind of had to take that knee. So Rafael Espinoza can take that as he's the power puncher and try to be the power puncher in this fight, which I think might be an intelligent thing for him to do. But he has to watch out with the timing. Now, Robeisy Ramirez isn't able to go ahead and get that timing down, because once Robeisy was able to do that, he was able to land those hooks right over those jabs. He was able to slip a lot of those shots, and he was able to work in the mid-range pretty easily. It was complicated for Rafael Espinoza, to say the least. Now, look, these guys have 12 rounds with each other in the ring, so the experience is there. They understand what the other guys bring in. Robeisy Ramirez, at the same time, in my opinion, might want to try to slow this fight down a little bit. Let's not engage in the melee overly engage in the melee in this fight, because this is what Rafael Espinoza shines at. He shines here because he has the will, he has the heart, and he has the conditioning to do a high punch output game the whole entire match, all 12 rounds. Robeisy has to be aware of this and conscious of this. He's winning the rounds pretty easily. Actually, let's be honest. If my memory serves me correctly, Rafael Espinoza was actually able to win like the first, I want to say, like the whole. No, hold on. Let me think about this clearly. First of all, I believe it was the other way around. Was it Rafael Espinoza? Oh, guys, hold me right here, right now. But if I'm correct, I believe Rafael Espinoza was winning those later rounds. Yeah, I mean those earlier rounds, he was winning them. He was using that distance. He was keeping Robeisy Ramirez at the edge of those, at the end of those jabs, and he was hitting him with some decent power shots. Robeisy was the one who was having to go ahead and figure out how to cross the void, get inside that mid-range, and ultimately get that timing down. So really, Rafael Espinoza's game plan was an effective game plan until Robeisy hurt him, right? So in this match, Rafael Espinoza probably keep the same game plan, but he has to make sure that Robeisy's not getting over those jabs and over those straight right hands and timing him for throwing those hooks over the top. Now, Robeisy Ramirez, in my opinion, has to start a little bit earlier in this fight. Now, we have to assume that at this point, Robeisy has more of a familiarity with Rafael Espinoza in this match, that he can get that timing a little bit earlier and work his angles a little bit more, see if he can walk Rafael Espinoza into a lot of shots, meaning that he sees Rafael likes to use a high level, high amount of punches, use that against Rafael Espinoza, bring him in to engage in those full offensive melees and time him and punch in between those punches and catch him with those shots. He already knows he can hurt Rafael Espinoza. He hurt him plenty of times in that fight, right? But either way, I don't see this fight going too much different than it did last time, except I am going to be honest with you guys. I'm wondering if Robeisy Ramirez can stop him indefinitely this time, being that he was able to hurt him pretty easily last time. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, he hurt him a couple of times in that last fight. Like, Robeisy's pop is right there. Rafael Espinoza has some power as well, but I didn't seem to affect Robeisy Ramirez into that last round, where, like I told you guys, it seemed like it was a little bit more of exhaustion. Now, I don't think Robeisy Ramirez is going to throw caution to the wind and just go into this situation just swinging for the bleachers, but at the same exact time, there has to be a little more confidence for Robeisy Ramirez. I'd have to imagine at the end of that fight, if he had any regret, the regret that he probably had was that he didn't really stop Rafael Espinoza, right? Let's see what he does in this match. What's going to be different? It's going to be kind of difficult for both these guys to walk away with a win. One guy with that pedigree and understand that he can get the time in the other guy, but the other guy also knowing that he has that range, that equalizer. He knows how to control that distance, and he has some power as well. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's going to be a great night of fights this evening. This is one of the fights I've been looking forward to since it was announced. I knew what it was going to be. To be honest with you, even when I saw Rafael Espinoza fight and I saw Robeisy Ramirez fight, their tune-up fights, all I could think about was rooting those guys on so that they won those fights, as I needed them to come back to this moment. And I'm so happy it's coming full circle and coming together. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you think of this fight? Is it on your radar? Who do you got winning this fight? Do you think it just goes the same way? Do you see Rafael Espinoza just stamping it even deeper in to our minds that he is the big dog at 126 pounds, or does Robeisy Ramirez make those adjustments and correct the wrong and make it right? Right. Keep in mind also, one more thing that I'm going to add to this is that there are rumors out there that Rafael Espinoza is considering moving up to 130 pounds, which I think would be very interesting, because the 130-pound weight class division is coming together to be a super interesting division. If you're not familiar with what's going on up there, you got Lamont Roach up there. You've got Shushu Carrington up there. We've got Nick Ball up there. No, Nick Ball's at 126, excuse me. We've got, who do we got up there? We've got Oshaki Foster up there. We've got Emmanuel Navarrete up there. We've got a lot of great fighters up there at 130 pounds. Could definitely use a Rafael Espinoza to make things spicier up there. But put this into perspective, that if Rafael Espinoza does have 1 foot out of the division at this point, how does that affect his performance this evening? It could be a good or a bad thing, right? A good thing could be that he puts it all on the line, throws all cautions to win, and just goes out ready to fall on his sword. But the bad thing may also be that he might fight a little bit more reserved and protect his brand, protect his market value, knowing that he's going to a new division, that he's going to need opportunities in that division to become a champion. He may be a little bit more reserved. Either way, those are some things to take into consideration, but I think it's going to be an exciting fight no matter what. You guys let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. It's Rafael Espinoza. It's Robeisy Ramirez, number 2, going down almost a year to date from last year, from one of the Fight of the Year candidates last year. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's your boy Claymore Rain. I appreciate you guys showing up. Shout out to all my subscribers. Again, man, thank you for the support. If this is your first time tapping into content, like I said in the beginning of the video, feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button at the right there next to the at the bottom of your screen somewhere should be a little subscribe button. Hit your bell icons as well so you're all getting alerts when all this content is dropping. Until the next episode, you know how we carry it. At this point, we out.